if I were to sidebar, if I even could sidebar, I need a guarantee. How do I know you can deliver?
You don't, but I can. So, do you want to take a leap of sidebar or become an old man filled with regret, waiting to die alone?
Non, rien de rien. Non.
All right.
Welcome back
to episode 84. I think I said
Yeah.
83 last episode.
84. No, that was 84.
Yeah, so this is 84.
That was a hilarious. I love that you did that. That was funny.
Yeah, it's not a bit.
No, it's totally.
Yeah, we don't do bits.
We need to have more bits. Do we have?
We don't do bits. What do you mean?
Are we bits? I don't think we are bits. I mean, I guess this in itself is a bit.
Are the categories bits? This is a bit. This is a bit. Gripes, bit.
Gripe is a bit. We'll do a gripes movie soon.
Yeah. New bit. Welcome back. We're introducing a new bit today, unironically. So.
Yeah.
What have you been watching lately? Sneak peek.
Yeah, I think so. Welcome to Sidebar, gang. Another episode here in Sidebar. I think Sidebar 2.0 is what we'll call this. Why did you see that thumbs up?
Dude, I didn't want to say anything because this is probably going to be mostly audio only, but the thumbs up just popped up on Dan's screen and I didn't know what it was.
God.
Are you incepting that thought into me?
Thumbs up incepted in my brain. Is that a verb? Incepted? I don't know if that's how it works.
It's got to be right.
I wish that they had said something funnier like, I mean, I love my favorite part of any movie is when they say the title of the movie.
Dude, I was just going to think about that. Yeah.
And they said it so many times in this.
What are we, some kind of Inception?
Wow, this has reminded me a lot of Inception, the movie. Welcome to our episode on Inception. If you haven't already been able to figure that out. We did kind of decide we were going to do this at the end of the last episode.
Part 2 of our Christopher Nolan. I don't know if we're doing a trilogy. 2.
Do you think does this round the trilogy out?
Well, I mean, I guess technically we did Batman before, so
yeah. But I mean, in Sidebar 2.0, which we're in now.
Yeah, we talked about doing a third one, but I don't know what we'll do next. Maybe a little different movie. I mean, you know what I did like about this though? Not to just jump right into it. The pacing compared to Interstellar. I was on the edge of my seat most of this movie compared to Interstellar, where I'm like, I'm not gonna say I was getting bored a little bit because it was a great movie. But it gets slow. You slog through a lot of parts.
It does. It does get a little slow. I think
compared to this movie, it's like you're jumping like crazy, and it's very confusing. And from the second the movie starts, you're going. There's no exposition. You just get dropped right in.
The pacing is incredible in this movie. Like from start to finish. I've seen this movie a lot, and I get so excited to watch it every time. It's such a fun rewatch. This movie.
Yeah.
For so many reasons. I love the way it starts. I think we'll get into our obviously the regular Sidebar staple categories, best scene, line, performance, for which I have a lot of. But I think we wanted to introduce a new category in kind of the Sidebar 2.0 era. We love to talk about one movie the whole time and make it pretty exclusively about that, but we recognize also that there's a lot of other things going on in the cinema universe, and I think what we want to do is come up with just kind of a way to ease into this whole thing by starting with a category called What You Been Watching. So, or then like cue the graphic over the screen.
Yeah.
What you been watching?
Dan, what you been watching?
What you been watching? I think it's it could be anything, man. Just like what have you been watching recently? It could be a TV show that you've seen a million times and you're just doing a rewatch of it because it's a comfort show. It could be a comedy that you always have on. It could be a show that you've never seen before. Maybe a new season of a show. Maybe it's a movie. Maybe it's another, whatever.
Well, starting off Inception, watch that today for the first time ever.
Yeah.
Great watch. We'll get into that one, of course.
I would
been watching the new season of Invincible. Don't want to spoil anybody, but it's great.
No,
check it out.
I just started that. I think I'm like 2 or 3 episodes into season 3, and
you gotta catch up.
It's really good.
We won't discuss it on here because I don't want to spoil it.
No,
but
I will say that show might have one of the best voice acting casts of any TV show.
It's tremendous.
There's not a bad voice actor.
J.K. Simmons in anything.
Yeah, J.K. Simmons. You know what my favorite in that show is? He's Walton Goggins.
Dude, oh my God, so
I love
good.
Cecil. I love
Walton Goggins needs to be in way more stuff. That's another conversation we can have that we'll agree on. But
I'll
he's so good, dude. So good.
That is something I've been watching recently. I think solely due to my TikTok algorithm forcing it on me.
Yeah,
Which I
so
think
like
is kind of
we
messed
were
up.
we were talking the other day, little outside the pod conversation, which is rare. Me and Dan don't talk outside of the podcast.
We don't talk outside of this.
How your algorithm dictates what you watch. I'm getting spammed with Sopranos clips again, and I'm just like, might be time for a rewatch.
They know, and it's funny too because, well, first of all, it's kind of screwed up because I'm seeing season 3 of Invincible on TikTok. It's not season 1 or 2, so essentially, I'm getting it spoiled for me.
That's what I'm saying. You have to watch it now, otherwise you're gonna guess what?
It's really annoying that the internet just allows for. Remember growing up, how we would all be so afraid of like taking video in a movie theater, and because there was all those FBI warnings before movies, like that is completely out the window now. People just throw shit on the internet, and you can just you like I could watch all of Nosferatu on TikTok if I wanted to, and I didn't even have to go to see it.
Yeah,
which is another movie that I watched recently. I want to talk for a hot second about this movie that I watched last night on Apple TV, The Gorge.
The Gorge. Tell me.
Please
Tell
watch The Gorge.
Give me the cast. Notable cast or like unknown cast?
Oh, great cast. Miles Teller, Anya Taylor-Joy, Sigourney Weaver.
Okay.
It is a phenomenal, shut your brain off, fun action movie, kind of a little romance, kind of an action movie. Monster movie, kind of spooky as well.
Okay.
The premise is they guard, and we talk about like how I love when they say the title of movies in the movie. They say The Gorge probably 100 times. And every time they say The Gorge, I got so excited. It's basically that Anya Taylor-Joy, Miles Teller's characters are like former Marine snipers, and they're both posted up on either sides of this gorge, and their goal is to keep whatever's inside from coming out. And they say it in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler. They're guarding the portal to hell. So it's so cheesy, but it's phenomenal. It's such a fun watch. Like, turn your brain off, enjoy an action movie. Go watch The Gorge, because they say The Gorge so many times.
I think we're gonna need a turn your brain off action movie, maybe for the sidebar after this movie. Because
I agree.
The brain was firing on all.
This is not a turn your brain off movie. The last thing I'm going to say for what have I been watching recently is Severance. You need to watch Severance.
Yeah, no, I got
everybody needs to watch Severance.
Pretty sure everybody I know is watching Severance. I've had 50 people tell me about it.
Arguably one of the best shows I've ever seen. Like, it is incredible. It's original. It's perfectly well done. The cast is incredible. Ben Stiller directing is great. It's got new actors I've never seen before that are all so really good. It's got some old actors. It's got some John Turturro. It's got some Christopher Walken. You're going to love the show. Like, you need to watch Severance if you're not watching it. I'll give you my Apple TV login. Actually, it's my mom's, so I'm sure she'd be fine with it.
Great.
That goes out to not just Cam. That's to the Sidebar verse. I mean, hit me up. See? You just did the thumbs up, dude.
Well, I don't know how that is doing that, but
no idea. Really weird. Let's
do
start.
montage of every time that happens in this podcast on YouTube.
Really annoying. Let's get right into.
All right, let's start. The first thing I'm going to say about the Inception. This is just an episode of The Blacklist. Have you ever watched The Blacklist?
No, I've never watched The Blacklist.
Oh my god, dude, this is great.
Are you a Blacklist guy?
Oh, dude, huge. Oh my god, James Spader's great. This is just
Spader's incredible.
They like the plot of this movie is like of course it's ridiculous. Obviously, like it's going through dreams and dreams and dreams, but like the fact that there's this one guy who's just like a dream assassin.
Yeah.
And all these people can somehow get trained to like protect themselves against their subconscious.
Are you?
And that's like the first second of the movie too. I'm not jumping far ahead. That's the first 5 seconds of the movie.
Are you referring to Maul or are you referring to Leo?
I mean, I guess both. I didn't really think about Maul, but that's a whole nother kind of thing,
It is a wild. Yeah. I like we talked about it in Interstellar. Don't understand Nolan's brain at all. Like this guy can come up with something like this is incredible.
You know what? Nolan's brain's a little weird. You know what he's always consistent in though? And this is going to be a great segue. Sound design. Let's talk about the 2010 Oscars before we get back in the movie.
Yeah, 2010, 2011 Oscars. This was nominated.
So let's just talk movies. Yeah. So it didn't win a lot outside sound mixing, which Nolan just slays every year.
If you look at that, 2011 Oscars was an unbelievable
It's 2010. It's 2010. It's not 2011.
2010
but it's Oscars. The King's Speech, Black Swan, The Fighter, Inception. The Kids Are Alright, 127 Hours, The Social Network,
Social Network,
True Grit, Toy Story 3.
Toy Story 3.
Yeah.
I think
those are all Best Picture noms.
King's Speech winning, kind of wild.
King's Speech swept like the Oscars. Best Director, Picture, Leading Role, Best Writing.
Colin Firth, dude. I mean, it was.
I'm
it was
kind
a good
of shocked Inception didn't get Best Original Screenplay.
Well, I agree. That's a crazy year for movies. Some of my favorite. I mean, The Social Network is one of my favorite movies ever made. Which reminds me, like, we need to do a Sorkin. Yeah, we need to do a Sorkin binge, because I love that movie. But like, dude, the Black Swan. I mean, Black Swan was an iconic movie. Mm-hmm. The Fighter. People revere The Fighter as like one of their favorite. Like Toy Story 3 rounds out one of the best Pixar trilogies ever.
True Grit was like one of the best movies ever made.
True Grit. That's Coen Brothers movie. Like, you have some heavy hitters. So Inception not winning, it kind of got bogged down. You know, it's like the Pulp Fiction argument where how Forrest Gump cleaned out the Oscars for Pulp Fiction.
Like, we've done some good years for movies. I guess every year has been a pretty good. Like, I don't think there's been many dud years for movies.
We'll
Maybe
find
more
one
recently.
I mean,
if we do, we haven't done a lot of movies like post 2020 onward. I don't think we've done any.
Right? We haven't really done.
We did the Oscars like super round that one year,
which I don't even know if that got released on Spotify or if they took it
No, it did for a bit. It got taken down somehow.
I wonder why. Did we say some? We must have said some not great stuff in that.
I just remember like playing the little bit that we recorded after we went and saw Joker in person. Yeah. And I remember leaving the theater with you and you telling me like that performance had you shaking. And I didn't forget that. That's the only thing I remember what you said. Yeah, Joaquin. Yeah, it was
It had everybody shaking, and little did I know that Joker Part 2 would be one of the biggest flops ever.
What do you mean? You like musicals, dude? We're doing Wicked next, right?
Oh yeah, no, I love La La Land set in Gotham City. That sounds fantastic. Yeah, I don't know if you noticed this, but in the last episode with Interstellar, I was really trying hard to talk about Wicked, but you talked over me the entire time.
Yeah, it's probably gonna keep happening, bud.
Yeah, but I'm going to talk about Wicked eventually because I thought it was phenomenal. Yeah, this was an unbelievable year for movies.
We'll get our siblings on to talk about Wicked.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there you go. See, they take New York. Shout out to my little brother and Cam's little sister who are in New York City becoming actors and becoming famous. And then we'll have them on the pod, and then that will give us street cred. Yeah. But yeah, so this movie, so Inception won for cinematography, sound mixing, sound editing, and visual effects.
Which definitely makes sense. The visual effects are crazy all across the
visual effects are they're awesome. I don't know if they're on par with Interstellar in this scale sense of it, but there is a lot of moments in this movie that really hit you hard on the screen. Mm-hmm. They come across, and we'll talk about it in best scene. I think some of my favorite scenes in this movie are really just solely due to the visual effects of what they're doing. You like for most people, it's impossible to understand this movie, especially in your first watch. So I guess my question to you would be, do you get it?
So I think I get it, but then in the end, I'm like, but do I actually get it? You know what I mean? And like that, does that make sense? Like, of course. I understand. Here's the thing that screwed me up. Like, I couldn't tell at what point like we got back to reality at the start of the movie. I think I understood when. And it was like when they were doing like the heist like team up, which honestly like great scene. They're doing all the individual like trainings. You know that was like the fun part of the movie before it got like stressful. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The second act is hard.
They're just like the first act, like the build up. It felt it's like every heist movie, like in Ocean's 11, where they're building the crew and they're going around and they're just like
it's fun.
You're seeing little tidbits of everybody's talents. You know what I mean?
You start to kind of feel like you understand what's about to happen.
Yeah, how it's all going to come together.
Yep, and then all of a sudden it starts happening, and then you lose it.
All right, let's talk about the architect, right? How the fuck did they figure that out?
Ariadne Elliott Page's character.
Yeah, but like, how did they figure out like, oh yeah, only one person can create the dream? They have to think about it before we go in, and they're the only one who can know what it is. I know it's a movie. I gotta suspend my disbelief. I understand that.
Yes, you're the guy who you're the suspend your disbeliefs guy. You better do that this entire movie, because if you sit here and try to rationalize every single thing that happens in this movie, you're screwed.
There is a lot of stuff that makes a lot of sense though, like like the dream rules and like how they get out.
I love that.
Yeah, Yeah, like the time thing is crazy too. Nolan loves the time stuff, dude. I'm surprised Batman didn't have like a 50-year jump at some point. Like,
I did make a note of that. I think sidebar. Have you ever seen the movie The Adjustment Bureau with Matt Damon?
yes, I have. Yes,
so came out. It came out like the same year as this movie Inception, and it came out like probably 6 months before. And that movie, I remember watching it and then watching Inception after and being like, oh, like they Adjustment Bureau tried to be like Inception level of mind bending type of movie. This movie just completely destroys. If you ever, this is probably in our lifetime the most mind bender of a movie I think any of us have ever seen. It'll go down as our generation's like, I don't know, 2001 or like the movie that just shook the world, and now nobody can think clearly after.
Well, and there's just like so much detail put into every layer of this movie. Like even like just at the start, like you're in the dream world, you're seeing how like they're just like we think we're only in I guess we'll call it layers deep, right? We're only one layer deep at the start.
That's
right?
What I call it.
They have Saito. They're in some like foreign country. They have some mob starting to come after the building, but then they go a level deeper, and they're like trying to. I think they're in his like palace or in his like.
Well, that's the same level.
That's the same level? Oh, geez, see, I'm already lost, dude. There's so many different levels.
Let me tell you this. I've watched this. I mean, this movie came out 2010, 2011. Mm. It's been 15 years. I finally think I understand it.
Okay.
And I've watched this movie a lot.
Time for Dan to mansplain.
It's going to be a lot of
thumbs up when I said mansplain. Yep.
I think it's going to be a lot of me mansplaining because I do feel like I'm starting to finally understand it. So I'm glad that you're not going to be in the driver's seat for the mansplation.
Nice. Nailed it.
I want to make a quick note before that. We'll get into it in best performance, but the cast of this movie is unbelievable. So much so, Nolan really flexed his supporting actor becomes main leading actor in this movie with Cillian Murphy. He's done that before, where he'll take us up. You kind of, it's like you have to work your way up on a Nolan production. You gotta be on the bench for a little bit. Cillian Murphy,
unless you're Michael Caine, and you just have to meet your yearly quota. Christopher Nolan. Nolan has to have some blood debt to Michael Caine, where he's lifetime contract.
I mean, Michael Caine leads the Nolan cast with 8 of Nolan's movies. Michael Caine is in 8 of his movies. Out of, I don't know, 12 or 13, I think, movies. Michael Caine is in 8 of them. Cillian Murphy, actually number 2 on that list. He's in 6 of Nolan's movies. And then this hilarious random guy named Russ Vega, who is in 5 of Nolan's movies, who in this movie plays a cab driver in Inception. And
the cab driver who they throw out at the start?
I think so. In the second level of the rain, when it's raining.
Yep.
This guy was Russ Vega.
That's the first level.
Sorry, level 1. Yeah. Sorry.
Buddy thinks he understands the movie.
I guess I don't get it. But this guy Russ Vega, he was a location manager for a lot of Nolan's movies, and Nolan must be buddies with him or something, because he's put him as that guy in 5 of his movies, which I think is pretty cool. Cillian Murphy, coming into this movie, and then obviously getting his comeuppance in Oppenheimer. Same with Matt Damon, and then Matt Damon getting his comeuppance now in the new Odyssey movie. This was a cool little flex. Cillian's a phenomenal actor, and and I really like him in this movie. I think he's
really just good. A star-studded cast overall, though. Like we'll just run down the list real quick. Obviously, like Leo is Leo, right?
Yeah.
Ken Watanabe, great actor. Great.
He was
great
in.
He was in Godzilla. That was probably
Godzilla. Yeah, he was in Godzilla.
Yeah. Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Yep.
I love me some Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I don't see him in enough things, but I really like him. I
feel like he doesn't make a ton lately. Tom Hardy.
He's a great actor. One of my favorite Tom Hardy performances is in this movie.
Dude, he's so good. It's a perfect character for him too. It's a perfect character for him.
I want to see Tom Hardy play that dashing kind of, sweet talking Brit more often, because he's usually the grouchy guy, but in this he's phenomenal.
Yeah. Elliot Page is Ariadne.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Great performance.
Marion Cotillard is Mel. I'm
How can
not
you
saying
not
her
love
name
little
right for
Marion
sure.
Cotillard? She's crazy in this movie. She's unhinged. She's
So
phenomenal in
good
this movie.
though. So good.
She steals. I mean, I hold my breath.
She's the perfect foil to the entire like
It's
movie and
unbelievable, and
Into Leo the whole time.
yeah, they did
And
such
the
a good
end is
job
just
casting.
like, yeah, the end is crushing.
Before we get into best scene, what would your totem be if you were to choose one? What do you think you would do?
Dude, I don't know. I don't
I
understand how the other totems work. Like, I feel like it has to be a spinning top. Am I wrong?
well, technically no, because you
All
can't have the
right,
same
so
totem as somebody else.
yeah, no, I get that, but like they showed the chess piece, right? Ariana had the chess piece. How the fuck does that work? Do you knock it over and see if you're in reality? The spinning top makes sense because it never
That is
will
a good.
like
That is a good
it.
question because so Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character Arthur has the loaded die, so he knows that if he rolls the loaded die and it's always a 6 and it comes up a 5, he's in a dream.
Yeah,
But
like
yeah,
that one makes sense. Like,
her knocking over a chess piece.
yeah,
How does that? You can do that in a dream too,
hmm
unless it becomes like Mjolnir and you just can't touch it or something. I don't know.
yeah. I don't know what I would use though. It's a great question.
Um, it's funny. I asked this question. I don't even have something.
Don't like mirror like. All right, one of the first scenes they didn't really touch on this again too. I thought they would. The mirrors when like they're doing like the training montage.
Yeah.
Don't mirrors just like stop like the dreams or like mess something up real bad?
If
Like
you
you're
see
not.
yourself in a dream, I mean, when was the last time
Yeah,
you saw yourself in a dream?
dude, don't ask me that right now.
That's
My brain is way
spooky.
through. Hey Cam, how did you get on this podcast? Are we in a dream right now? Like, don't mess with my head right at.
Well, as soon as we get off of this podcast, we're just gonna wake up in an airplane going from Sydney to LA.
I wish, dude.
We've been incepted into this movie. Let's get right into best scene because there's so many of them that I think are incredible. And we'll go back to what you were talking about because the opening scene where Leo just washes up on the beach and you begin and you're in Saito's, pagoda really sets the tone well for this movie and thinking pretty much for the next 2 hours and 30 minutes, what the hell is happening because.
Yeah.
You got no clue, and they have this mystical conversation. They're speaking in riddles to each other at the dinner table. Saito's very old, and then it kind of blends into then now they're in they're in the other level of Saito's dream. So yes, you found that level that the movie opens at is the second level of Saito's dream, whereas in the first level he's in that weird little house.
They're in like it's like a motel.
Yeah,
they're like
in some foreign country.
Mm-hmm.
Again, without having any of this explained to you, what is happening? Is this movie about a riot? That's what I thought the first time I saw it.
Like, and he's like trying to get info out before like something happens, and then here's what I don't get.
He kicks Leo into the bathtub.
That great scene. And the logistics of how they wake you up with the kick makes so much sense.
Love the physics.
Yeah, and they got very creative with how they did the kick later on, which is another great scene too. The whole setup
synchronizing the kick is an awesome moment in this movie.
Yeah, it's and all the different things that have to go into it.
But yeah, I mean, you're just confused the whole time until, and even more so. It's the scene right after that where Saito basically the story of the movie is born. Saito offers Cobb and Arthur we need Inception. We need to do it. I need you to plant the idea in my competitor's son's mind that he shouldn't take over the family business, and I need you to go in and do that.
All right, let's talk a little Saito. Is that last resort or is that his first choice, you think? Like, do you think that was his first option? Like, he just went through this whole thing?
I wonder if in this...
Also, I feel like they didn't touch upon the organization that much.
It's an engineering company. You're right, though. He does say, like
it sounds like such a threat, and then it's just like, yeah, cool, we're going to do this. And then no repercussion.
It's purely based off of Saito's greed. I don't think it's detrimental to the foundation of the world. It's just like Saito wants to be the guy who owns the energy monopoly.
Well, no, he says it's like no, he's trying to stop the monopoly. According to him, I mean.
Oh, is that what he says? Okay.
Yeah, in the movie he says like the whatever Fisher's company is like close to being overtaking and owning everything, and they're the only company that could have a chance of stopping them.
you do realize that there's an ulterior motive here, but it's kind of funny because in a world where Inception exists, or like these the people who go into dreams, because this is common knowledge in the universe of this movie that you can go into dreams. Like people are not familiar, like they're familiar with this idea
There's
that you can go into.
there's a whole like defense tactic where you
Right,
train your subconscious.
right. Is this something that's only allotted for rich people? Like to answer
Yeah,
your question,
absolutely.
obviously, right? Like it's got to be very expensive. So for Saito, who's clearly a very wealthy man, maybe he knows something more. His first thought might have been, why don't we just do Inception? Like I can afford it. He doesn't even
Yeah,
think about the other alternatives because he's rich enough to afford it. So screw it. Why not just go for Inception? It's a
yeah. I mean,
cool.
it does seem like a business at that point because like they go find Yusef, right? He's an
The whole
entire Yeah,
yeah.
like he's an entire pharmacologist who is just like focused on incepting people, and he
Yeah,
happens to be able to put you 3 layers deep.
Yusef's
Like,
character Dilip Rao, really good performance. I actually really like him in this movie. He's a lot of
dude,
like really.
his just like reactions when he's driving,
I
like
know.
there's no dialogue really, but
God.
just like maybe like a fuck every now and then, like
Or he'll like there's
just
like a
the
moment.
shuddering. He's
Yeah,
like
there's like a
every time
moment
he gets
where
shot.
he's like completely he's just ducking and diving a bunch of cars in a car chase, and he turns around. He's like, "Is anyone looking at me?" And they're all just passed out in the back seat. Like he's having a great time in that van.
Yeah,
That's a phenomenal subplot in itself. Is just Yusuf in the van for the whole movie. Like he's probably just he's going through so much hell up there. If anything falls apart in that level, they're all screwed. Um, this I think the first time you really start to understand this movie um, is when Elliot Page's character gets introduced, Ariadne.
hmm
And you learn about the architecture of the dream, which again doesn't make any sense to me. But in this scene, they are kind of spoon feeding you how this world
yeah. It's like
works. Like,
it's like a dream walkthrough.
yes, it's a phenomenal tutorial. It's a tutorial dream, and
hmm
but that's such a fun scene. We talk about the visual effects because awesome moment when they're in the cafe and everything explodes in slow motion,
hmm
freeze frame
Yep.
explodes. She does that
Also awesome with the city, yeah, where it like curls up and the
so
city
cool.
like
I mean,
starts to become circular.
I think that was in the trailer for the movie, and I think that scene alone is what brought a lot of people to the theater because they were like, "What
Yeah,
the hell
just
is this?"
it's a visual spectacle. That's what
I
I
have
call
to
this
see this
movie.
movie. I don't even know what it's about, but I have to see it, and
hmm
that's what 90% of people probably
Yeah,
did. I remember watching this in theaters and leaving the theater that night and knowing just about as much as I did when I started the movie. So
that's a great scene.
it's a phenomenal.
Another visual spectacle scene, which is an obvious one, which I know it's on your list, is the famous hallway fight scene with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I
I
don't know
want
how
to
they
take the
filmed
movie.
that. I feel like I saw videos and it's like they had like a rotating room inside of
Yeah.
like another room that like they were
Yes.
just like getting
Yes.
constantly bumped around. It looked so like I mean obviously it was practical effects, right? It looked so real. Like
In
that
order
like
to film that, they had to do hotel room Inception.
yeah.
There was a room within a room in order to film that. Joseph, that was another moment in the trailer I think for this movie that brought people to the theater too because they were like, "What is happening in this movie? Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand it." Um, I think and I want to kind of move chronologically through it because it's a good way to let's not try not to jump around because it's just going to confuse us
Dude,
even.
we jump there's so much jumping around through the movie.
I know it's true. I think I did make a note that the CGI in the scene going back to with Ariane when they're walking through the town, the CGI when they go onto the folded building, like I don't know if you noticed, like when they walk from here to here, it's actually it's laughable how bad that CGI is when they take the step, like going back to Interstellar when you
Dude,
jokingly
I was
were
just
talking
thinking
about.
about with the
Yeah,
docking. It's just like Nolan just has these random little
these one
CGI like
moments
mishaps. Yeah,
where yeah, I guess it's
couldn't he?
easy
He
to
didn't
have
have the
fun.
money. He didn't have a cornfield to sell for this one. He didn't
He
have the
didn't have
money
a
to put
cornfield.
it in post.
It's true. The cornfield paid for that CGI moment
He
with them
did. He
docking.
did probably actually make it a real Inception machine, though. Let's be
I'm
honest.
sure he found another
He's
way
in,
to make that.
he incepted Oppenheimer into the Warner Brothers studio head's
Yeah,
brain.
basically. Yeah, he brought Oppenheimer back into the Inception studio. Um, very iconic scene. Also, the first time you're really introduced to Marion Cotillard's character, Mal.
Mhm.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Um, because she kills Ariadne in that dream, and you start to realize that There's a looming presence kind of.
More sinister going on than just
there's something.
Leo's subconscious.
A game is afoot, and from that point on, anytime you see her, it's such a good way to establish her character, Marion Cotillard's character Maul, as the obvious, black mark in the movie. Like the way that she kills her in that first scene is it's horrifying. Anytime you see Maul for the rest of the movie, you're so sucked in. What's gonna happen now? I mean, who's she gonna kill? She stabs this poor girl, and then I think so. I guess it's funny because when we talk about best scene, I don't know if I even know what defines a scene in a movie.
I feel like it's funny you say that. I feel like we always like pick our favorite, just like or like the coolest looking one, because it's hard to like best line. I think is like we go like more like iconic. I guess we probably do the same with scene. Like there are some like I mean the two most iconic scenes have to be the hallway fight.
Yeah.
Hallway fight, and then probably the intro to the dream. Like the two that we just talked about, right?
With
the tilting shot.
Yep. Yes, I agree with you. I think those are the two iconic scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
But also, like, I don't know the timestamps, like, because I'll consider a scene like a 30-minute period in the movie.
Yeah,
but like, that's not a scene.
Yeah, it's like, are we gonna like? All right, what was your favorite level of the movie? Let's talk that level of the dream.
Love that question. I do think.
I thought level 3 was sick, dude. It's literally the Modern Warfare 2 snowmobile mission.
That's what I wrote, dude. I wrote the same thing. I wrote the exact same thing. Third level.
And you know what?
Third level of the
this movie came out in 2010.
Modern Warfare 2.
This movie came out in 2010. Nolan definitely took inspiration from that.
He's been ripping. It was
the whole mission.
The best level in
Remember Spec Ops? People forget.
Bro, like on the snowmobiles, you got guys on skis getting towed by a Hummer. And it's everything about
with the triangle wheels.
Yep, with the triangle wheels. You got the snow camo. You got like the snow over all the sides.
They're all wearing white.
It's iconic.
So good.
That's probably my favorite level, obviously because of the layout of the dream, but also just that's the crux of the story is what happens in that third level.
Mm-hmm.
At that, I think it's a hospital. They say.
Yeah.
That building that they're at, that they're protecting in the snow level, is a hospital.
Yeah, because his dad's in the hospital bed.
Right.
In the vault at the end.
Going back to we talked about it earlier. I do like the moment where they go around, they hire everybody. Right. So now you're introduced to Eames's character, Tom Hardy's character Eames, who in my opinion, steals the show.
Steals the show. Yeah.
Steals the show. You're introduced to Yusuf, Dilip Rao's character, who's going to be your sedate, he's the sedation expert. Mm-hmm. And then now you have your impersonator in Eames. You have your architect in Ariadne. And then I guess Cobb and Arthur are just kind of like the co-leaders, I suppose.
I feel like Cobb is the leader. Arthur is like the gadget guy. He just like does like he's like not like the weapons, just like explosives guy. I feel like that's more of like Yusuf because he's like he's a sedative guy, which is like kind of in itself.
Arthur to me seems like just kind of the right hand man.
He's just like to do everything. He's like a jack of all trades, fills in what the team needs. You know what I mean?
He's supposed to be the research guy,
but fuck that up.
He really screws that up in the first level of the heist, I guess we'll call it.
Yeah.
When you find out that Cillian Murphy's character Robert Fisher's
projections are armed and militarized.
Militarized projections, which is a cool
concept. Awesome twist because like it seemed pretty easy for them to like confuse people in Inception.
Mm-hmm.
Like once they're in the dream, like they didn't really face a lot of threats.
No, I mean
a lot of real threats at least. Like these were real threats. Like with having to go to the threat of going to limbo the whole time.
You always have the threat of the subconscious, of the projections realizing who's dreaming and realizing the subject and then going after them.
Yeah,
but when your projections are militarized, it adds an awesome element. Been making this a really good action movie as well.
That's the thing. Like it took a turn from it was probably like. It was a heist movie for the entire first half of the movie, right? It seemed like you could have made this movie into a fun like heist comedy, and I wouldn't have seen the difference.
It would have been the next.
It would have been you could have easily transitioned to that, but instead Nolan flips it on its head. He's like, yeah, this is now a suspenseful action movie.
Yeah, no, you're kind of sidestepping a lot of different genres in this movie. It's really fun.
Yeah.
You also learn a lot about the kick in this kind of scene when you're bringing everybody together. And you learn about the concept of the time jump, how each level is a different, longer.
So I wrote that down, and crazy, right? Let's see.
Once
first
again,
level, 1 week. Second level, 6 months.
Yeah.
Third level, 10 years. And I can't even imagine what limbo was like.
Well, he does say, I mean, towards the end of the movie, you find out Leo was in limbo for 50-something years.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, once again, Nolan loves to just bend time for some reason. I don't know why, but he loves to do it. But again, it just adds to the gravity of the situation once you kind of find out what they're dealing with once they go into level 1. Also introducing what I think I would consider one of my favorite iconic songs in movies is Edith Piaf's, I'm going to butcher the French, Non je ne regrette rien.
Can you sing it for me real quick?
Non regrette rien. Pretty good.
That was beautiful.
Good way to synchronize the kicks. This is the song that they play every time they wake each other up. Yep. I mean, I'm not going to, I don't know much about French, old French music, but now whenever I hear this song, of course, I'm going to think of Inception. Don't know about you.
You think you got to wake up?
Yeah, it's time to wake up. I think it'd be a good thing to set my alarm to, actually. That'd be kind of cool if you think about it. I wonder how many people have done that.
Try it.
You think that's what you think Christopher Nolan's alarm on his phone?
I don't think his alarm is set to that, but if this episode gets 100 listens in the first week, Dan will make that his alarm going forward.
Okay,
I'll do it too. I'll match.
Okay.
I'll match.
Sure, I'm in. You'll match too?
Yeah, I'll match.
I'll wake up singing every morning, which is not a bad way to wake up.
No.
This is a great song. I like the way they kind of implement it in, and then you continue to hear it along the kind of the rest of the movie. And you also learn about you kind of get to understand Cillian Murphy's character's backstory, his relationship with his father, his right-hand man. What's that guy's name? Uncle Peter?
Yep.
I don't know the name of the actor.
Tom Berenger.
Tom Berenger?
Mm-hmm.
Is he in other stuff?
Not that I know of.
No, okay. But you learn about him, and he's a pretty pivotal piece to this whole thing. And you really get that in the. So now first act of the movie, build up, right? We talk all that stuff. Now we go into Act 2, first level of the dream, baby. We know the plan. Fly from Sydney to LA. On that plane, they are going to get, because they need 10 hours. On the Sydney plane, that's where they go to sleep. They have to somehow trick Cillian Murphy into going to bed and basically putting him under, which is illegal.
Which they just, of course. Well, I don't think obviously the drugging him part and putting him to sleep is illegal. I don't know what the laws are on the entering someone's dreams and planting thoughts in there or getting information. There's got to be some kind of legislation at this point.
Yeah, I mean, how do they get him asleep on the plane?
I think they drug him, right? Because they get the water out there, right?
Chloroform over his mouth?
They get no. They get there's the drinks that come out,
they put in
right?
The water.
And then Leo drops a pill or sprinkles something in there, and then he takes one sip and is knocked out.
He's knocked out for 10 hours, and then they can put the sedative in him. That's so okay. Here we go. Plane, top level.
Yeah.
Now we go into level 1. Raining. We'll call it the rain.
Sleepless in Seattle.
Sleepless in Seattle. There you go. Yeah, Ariadne must have just watched that. She was just thinking about Meg Ryan the whole time.
Just rain everywhere.
Yeah. So now we go into level 1 of the dream. Saito gets shot. Sad. Pivotal to the movie. Saito getting shot.
Yeah.
That whole cab chase scene is crazy. Also the train. Train come through.
Yeah.
Big moment in the trailer of the movie as well. Train coming through. Once again, visual effects are incredible. The way that comes in really just hits you hard. You don't really know what's happening. Scary. Then they learn that they are all pretty much screwed the whole movie.
Yeah, this whole movie is kind of just Leo's fault too. Ariadne the whole time. The entire movie is just hey, there's something bad in your brain. You should stop that.
She knows
the
exactly
entire time, bro.
Exactly. She's the only one who knows.
She's kind of complicit too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like, what was her relationship to Leo like? Like, how did, like, when they got introduced, like, they just found her? Or was she, like, someone
They
they
were
knew or, like,
introduced
associated with?
because, as I understand it, Leo's father-in-law in the movie is Michael Caine.
Yeah,
Michael
they got
Caine.
introduced to that.
Yeah, and then Michael Caine, apparently Michael Caine's, obviously it all comes back to Michael Caine being, the founder of this, like he was in Interstellar. He's the founder of it in Inception, where he must have taught Leo how to do all this way back in the day. And then, so Leo comes back to him and basically says, hey, I need somebody better. And he gives Leo Ariadne. Michael Caine being Marion Cotillard's father is hilarious. Why not just make it a British guy or a French guy?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here? So you get level 1 of the dream. You start to learn that they can't die in here. Like you said, it's all Leo's fault that he just kind of put them under.
And that was a great twist because the whole time you're like, oh, nothing, like there's no risk. They could just wake up.
It doesn't seem that risky. They can just wake up
at all.
But now it's another element. And you get limbo explained to you, and you get spoon fed about limbo a lot. You also, there's a great moment in that scene where Eames transforms into Uncle Peter. Remember the scene with they're interrogating Killian.
Yeah, and they fake that they were torturing Uncle Peter.
Right, but like the way he's in the mirror, so Eames is like in the mirror and he's kind of chatting. Tom Hardy's chatting, and you can see. So it's like one of those like 3 pan mirrors where it's like diagonal, and each mirror kind of reflects on itself. You can see in those reflections in the mirror, like one reflection is Tom Hardy, the other reflection is Tom Berenger. Is it Tom Berenger?
Yeah.
And so like they kind of weave it in until all of a sudden he's completely turned into Uncle Peter. I always think that's such a cool moment, the way that Nolan does that. He kind of
especially later on, they do a fake out where with Tom Hardy, where Ken Watanabe walks up and is like just talking to him in the projection of him, and it's like, oh, did he just expose us?
He delivers it really well. Sorry, I thought you were a friend of mine, and Tom Berenger's like, oh, must have been a pretty handsome guy or something like that. Like, it's great. The dialogue in this movie is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So then now you're in the van. Also one of my favorite lines, but we'll get to that later. And now we learn about level 2. So now we're level 2. Okay. So plane, reality.
That's level 0. Level 0 is reality.
Yep, level 0, plane.
Level 1, Sleepless in Seattle.
Sleepless in Seattle. Level 2, hotel. This part always kind of like, I still don't always feel like I understand, because it opens with Cobb talking to Fisher and like coercing him through the fact that he's in a dream. You know what I'm talking about? Remember when they're sitting at the bar and they're talking?
Yeah, but that makes sense because he's like playing on his like. I'm trying to think of how to word this. He's not playing on his subconscious, but he's playing on his like, I guess, naivety that like this is something he would do, and this is something that needs to be protected from. So like, oh, this is the guy. And Leo's using like just obvious, and it's like very convenient, obviously, but he's using tells, like from his subconscious like security, right, to pre-spot stuff out and convince him.
Convince him to what?
To
leave,
just go right? Deeper.
Well,
to go deeper, that comes later. He convinces him to get on his side. Hey, I'm here to protect you. I got to get you out of here. There's all these guys looking for you, right? In reality, they're looking for Leo, but they're not talking to Cillian Murphy's character about that because it's a subconscious.
It's a subconscious. Okay.
I don't know if I made any sense there, but I think I did.
I know you did a pretty good job. I think that works.
Like, you know what I mean? And then later on, now here's what I don't get is, and I guess it's because you're in a dream. You're like, what was the quote in the movie? I can't remember the exact line. I wish I had written it down. I think it's like you're more in the dream state, your conscious defenses are lowered and makes your thoughts vulnerable to theft. That was the quote.
Yeah, that is like, what?
No, it makes sense. Your inhibitions are lowered in a dream state. So like you can be talked into things more easily.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So he talks Cillian Murphy into like, they're framing it on Uncle Peter the whole time. They're framing it on Uncle Peter. Oh, he's this bad guy, right? He's going to steal the company from you, right?
Yeah.
And he convinces him, he's like, we got to figure out the real truth because of that. You got to come with us.
Right.
So like, that's how he convinces him. Now I know, I think I think it's leaning a lot on like the your inhibitions are lowered in the dream state. Like that's how they get him there.
Right. Yeah. Another scene where non-regretterian becomes big because they kind of start to realize that they need to synchronize all the kicks together in the same at the same. They're all starting to realize they get dumped into a new dream in a new world, and they just kind of have to figure out now how to make this all happen. This is where Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character comes in clutch with having to figure out now.
Well, yeah, he's like, how do I have you fall in zero gravity
without gravity? It's like they're kind of just coming. Like all these guys are very, they're very smart in terms of how they're extinguishing all these situations because it does. I don't know how anybody could think clearly when all this is going on. Yeah, the van is being so now you're in the second level while the van is being chased down. They're in the hotel room. Which breeds, I think, one of the best moments in the whole movie with that hallway fight scene in the hotel. Would love to like how fun would that have been to be Joseph Gordon-Levitt acting in that moment?
Oh, so much fun, dude! Like they're so cool. Tossed around, they're throwing the guys around. Like it'd be very. It's like one of those like hamster wheels. That's like a treadmill, except you're getting tossed around in a fight during it.
That'd make me pretty. I don't know. I'm not big in terms of dizziness, so that would be pretty tough for me. Like I couldn't even do like the.
It's funny you say that. You know what actually made me dizzy? Like looking at it, like right away, was when they started folding the city. Or speaking.
Oh yeah.
On. Like I was just like, dude, I would not. I don't know how I'd be able to watch this in IMAX. I think that would just like cook my brain.
I know, right? I would get some vertigo. It's kind of cool, like the scale. I had some vertigo in Interstellar with some of those scenes, like when the scale, like the size of it, is pretty wild. So thus, okay. So now we're in the hotel. They all willingly go to sleep together in the hotel room to go into level 3, which we're going to call
Modern
Warfare 2. So now we're in Modern Warfare 2, and Soap is with us, and who's
Price?
Captain Price is there. Eames is just out there fucking tossing projections around. Like just Eames is out there. He's sick in that scene. Yeah. Like the way he's just like messing with everybody.
The way he gets on the snowmobile later, cuts the rope to them, throws the bomb,
tosses the grenade at the guy. It's a fun action movie, and it really can be a fun action movie.
Yeah.
You get the callback to the moment where Arthur is teaching Ariadne about the Penrose steps and the what does he call it? Just like
it's like just in the infinite staircase, right?
Yeah, but like manipulating physics in a dream, where he's fighting that guy in the stairwell.
Yeah, he just drops the stairwell off. Yeah,
I love the Penrose step scene with Ariadne is fun to. It's fun to watch. Again, you get more of the hotel hallway fight scene. There's a moment in that scene where there's a housekeeping cart on the roof of the hotel room.
Yeah, and the guy's like under it. The guy's
just hiding behind it.
And then Jordan Gustafson he picks it up and smacks him with it. Like, buddy, what was your plan?
How did you not see the grown man hiding behind a car? Like, it's not a big cart, and it's not to mention it's suspended on the roof. Yeah, so like the avalanche happens in the Modern Warfare scene 2 as well. That's kind of cool. You're learning like the world above them is breaking down a little bit more, right?
Well, that's great. A consistent theme throughout the movie. It's like the outside world interacts, like when he gets dumped in the water, right? In the very beginning, and I hate to jump back to the beginning of the movie because I don't want to confuse ourselves even more. But like he gets kicked into the tub of water, right? And the dream he's in floods. Right. Like the outside world constantly is influencing. Like
it's cool
even when they're in the car. Like obviously in the car with the hotel scene. Like that's the whole reason the hallway's rotating around because they are rolling down the hill.
There's a cool scene where they're in the hotel and they're in the lobby of the hotel bar, and Leo is talking to Cillian Murphy, and in the level above, they're in the van and the glass breaks and like water gets all over their face from the rain.
Yep,
and then it starts to rain in the hotel bar, and he's like, look at he starts like pointing everything out. It's cool. Yeah.
But that's another thing that Leo, like, he plays on that low inhibition. He's pointing out very convenient things because he's the dream expert, right? So he
Right.
could talk anybody into it, and especially in that state.
And he's so suave. I mean, this is like suave Leo to the max in this movie.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
I don't think you see him smile once in this movie. Like he's all business, baby.
Well,
it's kind of
his backstory and motivation is a little tough to be smiling, bro.
tough. Yeah, no, I guess he's not that much to smile about.
His wife kills herself in front of him, and it's his fault in the end.
And then he gets blamed for it because she's the one who pinned it on him.
But it is his fault because
it is his fault.
But like now, I guess we can talk about the end because I think we've gone through pretty much the whole movie now.
Yeah, I mean, after Fisher finds the pinwheel in his father's safe, like you realize the job is done, but Leo has to go deeper to get Fisher out of there. That's kind of cool because there's 4 levels to this. There's levels to this shit. Level 4 starts after Modern Warfare, and then they go back into like Leo's limbo world, which I think is a great name for an amusement park, by the way.
Write that down.
They go back down into Leo's limbo world, and he has to save Fisher from Maul. Oh god, it's like the tension is so high when Maul is just in there just talking to him, and he has to like get her out of there. Remember, he shoots her in the Modern Warfare level 2. Like he fucks everything up. Like he has to go back in and get her. But then that kind of explains and wraps up the first scene of the movie when Leo's like, I gotta find Saito down here because Saito dies. So Saito's dead in Modern Warfare level. So Leo's got to go down to Limbo World and find him, thus bringing us back to the start.
Which no one loves to do.
It's that he called. I remember seeing a video of him explaining Memento.
Yeah, it's just like the U curve, right, where it just goes all the way, and it's like the halfway mark.
Right,
like where you end the movie.
Instead of taking, it's not even. It takes the non-linear story that like we love from Tarantino, and he adds a really cool effect to it because he's not only is it non-linear front to back, it's non-linear on top of each other. It's like you have all this stuff going on at the same time. That can you just make a normal movie, man? I mean, what the hell?
No way.
Can you just make, we
need to mix in like a Michael Bay movie that's just like
I'm excited
explosions.
I know, seriously. I'm excited to see the Odyssey. I wonder what he's going to do with the Odyssey. Like, I wonder if this is going to be a mind bender, or if it's just going to be kind of like
maybe that'll have to be a sidebar that we do for an in theater movie.
A live bar?
A live bar in person?
A live bar where we're just talking over people in a movie theater?
Oh, dude, we can't. Let's go to an Alamo Draft House and get kicked out for talking in 5 minutes.
We could go to like a Broovies kind of pub where we sit down and like have dinner and drinks and like we just set the camera up while we're watching the movie.
Yeah, that'll go over well.
Yeah, so here's the end of the movie. Okay, what do you think happens?
Like the very end of the movie?
The last scene, man. All
right, so here's where I'm thrown off. But like, I think, well, he doesn't spin the top because he doesn't want to know. I think he just like is content believing this is reality. Does he? I thought he didn't spin the top at the very end.
That's how the movie ends. The last scene is the top.
I thought he didn't spin it because he didn't want to.
You didn't see the end of the movie?
I watched the end of the movie. I must have been confused. All right.
The last scene of the movie is they return home. So you think Saito places the call. He gets through immigration. He's no longer, I don't know. I guess he just erased murder charges or something. I don't really know what happened.
Yeah. Also, what is Saito's influence? That's what we can have a whole gripe about. This is a perfect great movie. We're not gonna, like, we don't need to get into it right now because like I want to suspend my disbelief because this is an awesome movie. We're not gonna gripe it.
No, but there's so many gripes.
There's so many gripes. There's just so many holes. But it's just like, maybe they incepted those gripes into my dreams. So it's like, what can I do about it?
Nolan's really good at just making a movie that's so confusing that you don't even realize that there are plot holes happening in this movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, there's definitely some gripes. I don't know what Saito's influence is. He runs like a Japanese energy company. How can he get Leo back and avoid extradition in the United States?
He's connected.
He's connected. Is he a mob boss?
I didn't, but he's like a legal. Is he on the Dow? I don't know. What do we?
Yeah, like, is he Yakuza guy? Because he's got the original architect like tied up and beaten up in his helicopter.
Yeah, that also, like, he makes vague threats, but also works with them, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go in with you." That's risky. He's,
Why
like,
is
hiring
he?
them. He's, like, threatening them to hire them, and then he just,
Yeah,
like, goes under with them.
it doesn't make a
And
lot of
then
sense. Like,
and then immediately is the first one to get shot, too.
yeah, immediately just gets and not not even. I like. I mean, it wasn't even like a big moment. It's just like, oh shit, Saito got shot. Damn. Okay, now it's just really popping off.
But then I
So
think
the
it was
last,
another dream world. I think it was another dream world because the entire, like, the whole thing is it's just like Leo, I think, just like doesn't know what reality is anymore, and like that's the entire movie. And this entire movie could have been in Leo's dream the whole time. And then I think that's what Nolan wants you to think because one of the lines Mal says to him is just admit it, you don't believe in one reality anymore. And like talk about best line. I mean, that's like the crux of the film to me,
true.
right? Like
The thing is, that's not his totem. It's Maul's totem.
so
You're
it
not
can't
supposed to use somebody
exact.
else's totem.
All right, but yeah, but Leo also breaks every single rule he talks about and puts in place in
But
the movie.
but if you can't use somebody else's totem, what are we led to believe at the end? Because listen, the
Leo is
clear,
definitely established as an unreliable narrator of this entire movie, though. That's
of
the thing too.
course,
Like, you
of
can't
course,
take all the rules in the grain of salt. You know what I
you have
mean?
to
Like,
believe Leo's character because he's the guy taking you through it. But he's the most untrustworthy character in the whole movie.
yeah, and they established that multiple times throughout the movie.
The last scene, before you cut to black, is he goes to see his kids. They turn around, he sees their faces,
Which is a tell that it is a real
is
reality.
to tell that it's a real world because he said he didn't want to see their faces before when he's talking to Maul. And so he spins the top and then he goes and looks at them. So he kind of was like, I shouldn't do this. Oh no, I should do it. But I
Okay,
also
maybe
don't
that's why
know.
I was confused because that's what I thought. Like, he spun it, but he didn't want to look because he saw
He
the kids'
doesn't
faces.
look.
He's like, I want to accept this as my reality. I don't need
Right.
to find out what's next. You know what I mean?
Which is what he does. I mean, yeah. So he does spin it. And right before it fades to black, the top does look like it starts to wobble. But he cuts it before you can really tell if it's wobbling or
Yeah.
not to know whether he's in a dream. It's one of the best endings to a movie I've ever seen. I love that. I think it's so cool because to most people, like, that wouldn't make any sense, but just because you've understood this world now. But again, it's not his totem. So even if it does fall over, he could still very well be in a dream. So I think it's like the Sopranos ending. You're not really supposed to know what happens. By the way, should I spoil the Sopranos for anybody who hasn't seen it?
Dude, why are you gonna be like that? Talk about a bit. Every podcast ever has done that bit. Even that podcast with the kids talking about what their favorite pizza topping is.
What, they spoil the Sopranos?
No, I'm just assuming they do. Every podcast ever spoils the Sopranos.
Are you talking about the MD Foodie Boys?
I don't know what's worse, the fact that I brought it up or the fact that you know just exactly
all
what they
about it.
are.
You know what's crazy?
Rivals.
Sidebar. I had to explain to my girlfriend who AJ and Big Justice and the Costco guys were the other day. She had no idea.
I mean, yeah, it's better for it, dude.
Imagine living in a world where you don't know who the Costco guys are. I want to live in that world. I want to be her because I don't want to have to
I wish
know.
I could unincept the Costco guys out of my brain.
Exactly. I wish if there was Inception happening, I would purposely make them go in and get that out of my brain. Similar to the MD food. Actually, no, the MD Foodie Boys are the shit. But like, I want to get those Costco guys out of my brain. I need to call Leo.
We need to call Leo also to get Sidebar out of the Suits podcast name, unrelated.
Yeah. I'm sure he could make that happen. There's plenty of sidebars out there floating around that we need to have Leo go in and incept people to never have had that happen. That'd be cool. Best scene of the movie. What do you
teaser video?
Yeah. What do you think the best scene of the whole movie is?
I mean, I think the fight scene is just too cool in the hotel to like not be it. The rotating hallway. I think it's between the two that we talked about, though. I think it's the dream like tutorial, where they're like going through all the stuff.
When we first started doing this, we kind of had the idea to nominate a bunch of best scenes from movies, and then we would do
at the end, like go through.
And then
do you remember any best scene from any other movie that we talked about besides Interstellar?
What we do in this podcast is kind of like whose line is it anyways? Like the game, there's no game and the points don't matter. Like that's kind of just what we do on this. Like nominating a best scene doesn't mean anything. Like,
well, we kind of just like that was our original idea when 6 years ago when
remember the lock it in. How we would each get one lock it in like per sidebar season to like override the other person's
Sidebar
best
season.
And we were like, you only get one per season, and like you and I use one every
and
episode.
They were just like lock it in. It's
If
like
I had a
lock
lock
it
it
in where
in,
you just decide for the other person.
I'd use my lock it in on this movie as the final scene of the movie is the best scene of the movie. It's and I really do believe it's one of the best endings to any movie I've ever seen. I love it so much.
Mm-hmm.
Puts a bow on the movie, and just as mysteriously as this movie began, it ended. Which I think is a really cool way to do it. Just adds to the mind bender that is Inception, which is a real term I learned. I guess I'm stupid enough to think that this was an original term. The term Inception.
You thought Christopher Nolan made it up?
I did for a long time until I saw like one of those Jake Tapper videos where he goes to like the RNC and was making fun of a bunch of people for saying the word Inception. But then I realized like, oh, they're actually saying a real word. Anyways, I think I'm locking it in. Lock it in.
Right.
That's
season 2 of the Sidebar, first lock in. Shout out.
The Sidebar. I used my first lock in.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I mean, like, I just thought that scene is so cool in the hallway, bro.
It is.
I'm
the
sorry.
hotel. I mean, the hotel hallway is iconic. There's so much iconic visuals.
Like, it's just like it just looks so cool.
There's so many iconic visuals in this movie.
So I think best line. There's a bunch. I don't really have any that stand out like as like the number one. I do think the one reality thing kind of ties in with best scene. And I do like.
Yeah,
that
can you read that for me again?
Yeah, it's just admit it. You don't believe in one reality anymore. Mal says that to Leo, right? I think that's like that defines like the movie because it's like, like, do you believe in one reality anymore? She's talking to the viewer.
Yeah,
she's talking to you.
I don't.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, do you know what?
I don't.
You know? Like, are you incepted right now? We don't know. This whole the entirety of the Sidebar could have been incepted in a day.
I would love to be incepted or severed, you know, from the show Severance. Like, there's so many. The real world application of both of these of Inception would be phenomenal because there's a lot I just don't want in my brain. That's it. That's a jab at you, Rizzler. I love that line. There's a line in the beginning. Sato says it on the.
Is it the one on the helicopter where he's like, I need a guarantee that you can deliver, and he's like, how do I know you can deliver? And he's like, you don't, but I can. And that's like how the heist starts off. That is so perfect, dude.
I had a different line on the helipad, but there's a lot of good lines on that helipad. That's a great. Dude, that's a big
underrated scene. Underrated scene.
Yeah, I mean, again, you kind of that's where the birth of the whole story takes place because you learn about the heist that's going to happen, and you also learn that Saito is, I guess, a mob boss, or I don't really know what's going on. He says, "Do you want to take a leap of faith or become an old man filled with regret, waiting to die alone?" That's a line that you hear in the beginning of the movie that does come back right at the end. And it's a cool pivotal moment. Don't really get the line. Don't understand the line.
So I don't understand the line, but the way they use the line makes sense because that's like the tie-in for Saito to know that Leo's like real and not a projection, right?
Right at the end. Remember the last scene of the movie?
Yep.
He's like, I came here to talk about something, and then he says that line. It brings him back almost like it's like a smelling salt. It cracks him out of it. Mm-hmm. A really good line in this is when you first meet Yusuf. And they go down into that little, kind of the basement room where there's like 12 people being put under at once. Yep. And he goes, they come here every day to sleep. And this old man walks up to him and says, no, they come to be woken up. The dream has become their reality. It's pretty wild. They live in a world now where people are abusing Inception or abusing the ability to be put under. It's cool. It's world building. I think that's a cool.
Oh, the world building is great. Like there could be a whole universe off of Inception. I'm surprised there was no Inception like limited
Inception
series
2?
that was done, right? No,
Inception
but
2, Inceptioner. Even more Inception.
Inception 2, which is not Inception 4.
It's actually the first movie in a saga of movies where it's like the fourth movie. No, I don't know if there was ever. I mean, Nolan doesn't do many sequels besides the Batman movies.
But this just seems like it would be like this is like perfect for like a limited series run that's like picked up that's on a like premium network. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say, I think it would be a good network TV show. Pop this on CBS and let us just run with it.
That's what I'm saying. Like the premise of Inception, but it's just so much more low budget. But it's just like the entire premise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they name it like
low budget Inception.
Yeah, like what would be a good name for it too? Like it'd be like not Dream Cops or something like that, but it'd be like something like that.
Dream Cops.
I got one. I got it. The Adjustment Bureau.
The Adjustment Bureau. Yes. It's crazy because I really thought the Adjustment Bureau came out after Inception, but turns out.
What's up with Matt Damon just kind of getting?
This is what I'm saying.
With other
back to what
other releases like
he's
The Martian, Interstellar. He needs his movie. He's making a movie of every single one.
Oh, Leo's in a weird mind-bending movie? Well, I'm going to do one where everybody's wearing...
What's that? They rebooted James Bond with Daniel Craig? I guess we're going to make Jason Bourne.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to be Jason Bourne, which is great. I mean, so some would say that the Adjustment Bureau walked so Inception could run. I need to rewatch that movie now because it's really bad. It's got the guy from Mad Men. The actor from Mad Men who plays I forget the guy with. Have you ever seen Mad Men?
No.
Okay, well, whatever. Another good moment, another good line from this movie, Inception, not the Adjustment Bureau, is you're waiting for a train that will take you far away. You know where you hope this train will take you, but you don't know for sure. But it doesn't matter. That's Maul's line. Mm-hmm. Scary line. Again, everything she says in this movie has so much gravity.
Yeah.
I'm going to read a couple more. Do you have any?
I mean, I guess like the pivotal one from the idea that I liked, where it's like you start getting the creativity of it, is if you can steal an idea, why can't you plant one instead?
Yeah.
Which like turns the whole application of Inception that like, and everyone's like, "Whoa, that's crazy! You can't do that." Ideas are like, they're no, and it's like they pull it off, right?
That's a cool moment too, because when he's talking to Saito about it, Arthur, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character says, try not to. If I tell you to not think about elephants, what are you thinking about? You're thinking, or if I tell you to think about elephants, what are you thinking about? I'm thinking about elephants, right? But it's not your idea. Like the once again, and Nolan does this in Interstellar, where he spoon feeds these concepts to you in such a way that makes you really understand them. That I really like. That's a cool moment in the movie.
He does it with a lot of the movies, except for, I mean, there's huge twists in all the movies too. But like he does spoon feed you a lot of info on like how things like start to kind of work, and like he does it in a natural way, like through the conversations, right? Or through
his dialogue is unmatched, dude. Mm-hmm. I love the way that these characters talk in his movies, because they're just confusing enough that you don't really understand what's happening, but there's also so many moments where you're like, oh,
you get little nuggets of every conversation, and just give you enough of a big picture.
It makes me want to watch Tenet, because I'm wondering if that didn't happen enough.
Dude, if we're confused from this movie, Tenet is like, there's no way you and I understand that at all.
I don't really have any desire. What my favorite line from the movie has nothing to do with the story. It's the scene in it's level 2 water rain planet, Sleepless in Seattle.
That's level 1. That's level 1.
Level 1. Sorry, they're fighting off all of the projections. Arthur's up there with like an AK trying to pick them off the thing.
Yeah, and Tom Hardy comes out with
and he looks at him and he goes, "You mustn't be afraid to dream a little bigger, darling." And he pulls out a fucking grenade launcher.
Yeah,
just blows it up.
Great. That's what I'm saying. This movie could have been like a heist buddy comedy. Agreed. Very easily.
Agreed. Just similarly to
I'm sure Nolan, like with all the footage Nolan took, there has to be just like a director's cut out there that could have been chopped up that is just a comedy instead.
It's just Tom Hardy and Joseph Gordon-Levitt like having a nice witty banter back and forth where they don't
this
like.
This is just like an alternate version of The Other Guys.
Yeah, totally, exactly.
Like but instead of Gosling and what is it, Russell Crowe?
Oh, it's the nice
The Nice Guys. Sorry,
The Nice Guys. I thought you were talking about The Other Guys with Mark Wahlberg.
Also, great film. I'm surprised we've never done that one.
Dude, we should do The Nice Guys. That movie rocks.
That one's good too. The Gentleman's very good too.
Yes, it is. I just watched the TV show the other day.
Dude, me too. I started watching it. It was very good. Yeah. Getting spammed with clips. Circling back to the pre-show conversation of what you've been watching.
Circling back to what you've been watching.
Watching lately.
Theo James is the man. I'm actually I hate seeing Theo James on screen because he's the most handsome man on the planet, and it just makes me feel like shit about myself. I think a really good line from this movie is the crux of Robert Fisher's. I gotta sneeze.
Bless you.
I gotta do it again.
You know?
Never mind. One sneeze is weird. It's the crux of Arthur. Fuck, I said it again. Robert Fisher's story, where he's sitting by his father's bedside and his father's dying, and he said, and his dad's like, I was disappointed. He goes, I know you were disappointed that I couldn't be enough for you, and he goes, no. I was disappointed that you tried. That right there is what makes it all happen. That line is how they realized that Inception worked. They planted the idea in his mind that he is not going to be the guy to take over the company. Would it really work in real life? I don't know. I don't know. Yes, maybe. I mean, I've woken up from dreams.
Well, no. Let's talk about it, because like we talked about your algorithm dictating what you watch, spamming you with clips. We're getting incepted every day. What the fuck are we talking about?
Is that just what TikTok is?
Dude, Dan, you're getting incepted every day. We're incepting everybody with the sidebar right now.
So wait, so the prequel, so the sequel movie to Inception is just called Doom Scrolling. It's basically the exact same thing. They're just incepting.
It's called The Algorithm. It's called The Algorithm.
The Algorithm. That's a good movie.
We should write that down. That's the first.
I actually have a couple movie ideas. One of them is a comedy about monster truck drivers too. So I have some good ideas. But yeah, no, that's true.
I got a movie idea called In Over Our Heads. It's two kids in a trench coat. To be talked about later.
I got an idea. Lethal Weapon 6.
What about Fast and Furious 9? Fast and Furious 9.
What was the movie that you came up with that you made in high school?
Maximum Jeopardy?
Maximum Jeopardy.
Awesome.
We still need to get the Maltese Panther greenlit as well, by the way.
Maltese Panther.
Yeah, baby. We're doing an old school silent film with black and white.
Yeah. That's the Maltese Panther. Remember Legs, dude?
Legs. Remember Big Mike? Did you have any other lines? Because that was it. I definitely had more lines than Interstellar, but there's some really good lines in this movie.
One of the vicious lines for the movie that Leo was really saw, I think was the turning point in the movie, when he says to Mal's projection, "You are just a shade of my real wife. You are the best I can do, but I'm sorry, you're just not good enough."
That hits you hard.
Talk about hits hard, but it's also he understands it. But that's the turning point. He's not gonna. Yeah, he's gonna go save Saito. He's gonna go the level deeper. Ariadne wakes herself up to the kick.
Yeah, no, that's a big line. It hits you hard, and she feels it. Her reaction to that is really good.
Yeah,
it makes you really feel the gravity. So let's get into best performance here, because in a star-studded cast like this, where a lot of people are sharing the screen, it's kind of hard to pick somebody that who you think does the best job.
I'd say let's talk about the main cast. I'd consider for people to have a best performance.
Mm-hmm.
They go Cillian Murphy, Tom Hardy, Paige, Cotillard, Gordon Levitt, Watanabe, and Leo.
Yeah,
right. I don't think those are the main ones.
Yeah, I don't know.
Narrowing it down from there, it's realistically probably Leo, obviously.
It's similar to the Interstellar conversation. Leo is the main.
It's just too dominated by Leo. That's the thing. He's the only character given motivation. He's the only real character given motivation. What motivations do we have for Ames? None. For Ariadne?
None.
For even Arthur? We get Saito's motivation a little bit. And he goes through more through the film because he gets shot. But most of the time he's just I'm shot. I'm coughing up blood in the dream.
Yeah. No,
that's
his he's really good in this though.
He's very good. He's very good.
I mean, my favorite performance in this movie is Tom Hardy. I love him. I love Tom Hardy.
Such a good character. It's such a good written character for him. It's perfect.
He's so good in this. I want my own Eames movie.
Yeah.
I love that character. I think it's so fun.
Can you imagine just a spy, not thriller, because I think it'd be more of a comedy, just a spy, where he just goes around and in people's minds projecting as other people and sneaking around shenanigans.
I don't know. I'm a fantasy nerd. I'm reading this book called Mistborn, and I can see a perfect character for Tom.
Now on, what are you reading lately?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not reading. I'm listening to it. It's an audiobook, but
now
whatever.
What are you audiobooking lately?
What are you listening to? The Sidebar podcast. Yeah, I think But I don't even think Leo gives the best performance in this movie. It's not. He's just brooding the whole movie. It's
he
not
really
like
is. He's so emotionless the whole movie.
It's not like he's he's not doing the Django Unchained performance, the Wolf of Wall Street, the Aviator. Like he's boring. I don't know.
Him and the all right, let's talk about two stressful movies for Leo, right? Let's talk about The Departed and this movie. Two very stressful movies. In The Departed,
Yeah.
He's way more stressful, and you can see, like, I feel like he's not really
physically,
that stressed in
he's
the
so
movie.
stressed out.
Yeah, this movie, he's just like, yeah, he's sad.
Got such a monotone Leo look.
Yeah. Who do you think is best performance then?
I think it might be Marion Cotillard.
Dude, she is menacing, and she's like the shade of the whole. She's like Leo's shade through the whole movie, following him around, and like
every single time she's on screen, she's terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tragic too. I mean, she's such a tragic character that this would ever happen.
Well, the scene where she jumps off.
Oh my god!
Like the acting there is just like
that's a great moment from Leo. That scene always hits me hard. That scene always hits me hard. But yeah, I mean, I think it's her. I really do think she's the best part of this movie because her character, every time Mal is on screen, it's gripping,
instantly when she shows up on screen, you like recognize like the threat, and you're like, you feel the tension and the stress.
Agreed. Just by her being in this scene, that some shit's about to go down.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also because she's just a menacing character. Like Marion Cotillard she's a great actress. Can I give it to Russ Vega, the cab driver who is in 5 of Christopher Nolan's movies?
You know, I'm locking it in.
I'm
locking in Russ Vega. Yep.
The location manager for Memento and The Prestige, who maybe Nolan owes him some money, and that's why he keeps getting put into these movies.
Dude, he's got to have like a blood debt or something.
Why is he in 5 of Christopher Nolan's movies?
He saved Christopher Nolan's life like back in the 90s or something, and he like on the set of Memento, like a light fell, and he pushed Nolan out of the way. And he's now crippled for life, and Nolan's like, I'm gonna take care of you forever.
He brought them to the wrong warehouse in Memento, and Christopher Nolan, got a staph infection or something, and now he's. I mean, it's funny. Michael Caine, Cillian Murphy, Russ Vega. Those are clearly Christopher Nolan's 3 favorite actors.
Who's the fourth?
Yeah, it's a great movie. I think my parting question for you would be, where does this fall in the Nolan hierarchy for you?
It's tough to rank because I haven't seen some of them in a while. Like I guarantee you, if I watch The Prestige again, which I haven't seen in like easy 10 years, I put that up very high because I love that movie, and I think the twists and turns in that movie are electric. I don't want to try to think of all the other Nolan movies. So Memento, not a rewatch movie.
No,
I love it. It's a first for what it is. It's art, right? Like that's like the perfect like turn something on its head, never really before done with like the time, shenanigans in the movie.
Yep.
I preferred this one over Interstellar. I don't necessarily know if it's a better movie. I would say it is, but I think you can argue both ways, right? Because they're different kinds of movies. I enjoyed this one way more than Interstellar, though. At least from like a watch. I was on the edge of the seat this whole movie, And that's the pacing too. Obviously, I think The Dark Knight is like one of the peak Nolan movies, and like is obviously one of the most revered movies of all time, right? I think it's up there with those. I haven't seen Tenet. I haven't seen Oppenheimer. So I don't know if I can put them there with that. I'm trying to think of any big ones I'm missing for Nolan. I don't definitely not the other 2 Batman movies. Dunkirk I heard was really good. I didn't see that one either, but
Dunkirk's phenomenal. I mean, I think this is easily a top 3 of his movies. I would even make the argument that it's his best movie. Like
I think you could say that. I mean, I think this and The Dark Knight are definitely probably 1, 2, and maybe Interstellar. I think you can put Interstellar, Prestige in that like third. I mean, they probably round out his Mount Rushmore, right? Top 4. Like
it's definitely on his Mount Rushmore.
This is one of his top 2 movies for sure.
For sure, I just think it's such an iconic movie for our generation. Like
and it's an original story too. That's
right? Yeah. So the fact that this didn't win for original screenplay is wild. Yeah. What did win? What did you say won?
I'm pretty sure the King's Speech won. Let me check again. Yeah, King's Speech.
Yeah, kind of wild that this didn't win. I mean, this is such a this is like a. Yeah, it's such a mind bend of a movie that I'm surprised that it didn't get more love. I mean, it got all the cinematography love that it deserved because visually, another phenomenal movie. Christopher Nolan doesn't make movies that don't look good. Another movie that I think should have been in 70mm IMAX over Oppenheimer is Inception. But yeah, I think it's definitely up there. God, what a movie! That's just this is a film. This is a film, man.
Great. This was a great watch, and we need to watch more of these movies for the sidebar. Like,
agreed.
I'm not gonna say there's been sidebar movies where I lose it a little bit, where it's like I get taken out a little bit, drags. This was a perfect pacing. 2.5 hours felt like 5 minutes.
It goes like very quick.
Yeah,
I love a movie. I love a movie with good pacing. Yeah, that part of the reason why I didn't love Oppenheimer, but this movie, start to finish, incredible. Yeah, where do you think it falls in the Leo hierarchy?
Dude, that's just such a list. Like, I think you got a tier Leo stuff and ABC and
I would say
this is rank them like that.
This is like a B. This is a B.
I don't think it's one of his best performances. I don't think he like there are movies where he carries and does a lot more. No, not even close. Like, this is an ensemble. This is more of like a bet. It's like the movie more than the performance. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Like, he wasn't even nominated for anything, was he? Yeah, he wasn't.
No,
he wasn't nominated for. I mean, best actor category was kind of crazy.
Best actor category for this. Yeah, he had no chance this year.
No, absolutely not.
I mean, yeah, it's hard. This wasn't a movie that, again, the performances didn't there are really good performances in here, but like, you don't say
the movie elevates the performances don't elevate the movie. The movie and the concept elevate like the performances.
Similar to Interstellar. Nolan loves that. Nolan loves to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, I don't know. Do you got anything else for me? Because I think
it's a good wrap up. Nice hour and a half ish.
Yeah, another one. I don't know what we'll do next. We'll have an off-screen conversation about it.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to just go 5 layers deep and start putting ideas in your brain of what I want to watch, and we'll do that.
The Gorge.
I mean, I got an Apple TV 3-month free trial. I've been waiting to
watch
Severance.
Watch The Gorge.
Watch The Gorge.
Well, thank you for listening. This has been another episode of the Sidebar
Podcast. The
podcast. The movie.
The experience.
The ride.
Non, rien de rien. Non, je ne regrette rien. Ni le bien